Leave it up to Hollywood and their stars to ruin a film before it even comes out, and to turn a whole fan base against them before it even releases in theaters. And what I'm talking about are the comments Millie Alcock made the other day that were just blatantly divisive for the fan base. And it's top tier rage bait, if anything.
I don't know what dog you're talking about. Ugly dog in a cape.
What did you say?
I didn't say anything.
If you didn't see the comments that she made in her Variety interview, this is what she said. She said she knows that backlash against her is simply inevitable. By simply existing as a woman in a franchise IP, we have become very comfortable with having this weird ownership of women's bodies, and I can't really stop them. I can only be myself. Saying something like that is just going to trigger backlash. You're literally rage baiting people. I haven't seen anything on Twitter or the internet in general since the teaser or before the teaser that had anything negative to say about her or her appearance. It was mostly supportive. And I have no problem with her being Supergirl. I think she fits the role pretty well, to be honest. But when you make a comment like that, saying that you're expecting backlash because people are so worried about ownership of women's bodies and a big franchise, I think it's genuinely just distasteful to say. And for starters, you're playing a superhero. People have an idea of the way somebody has to look because there's already an existing and established look of that character. Especially when you're playing a superhero. If you look at Thor, for example, and Wolverine and Batman as well, these are all larger-than-life characters carrying an amount of muscle that is close to impossible for a human to put on naturally. But yet with those characters, you do see a big amount of ownership when it comes to the appearance of that actor playing that role. I would even argue that appearances of men's bodies in big franchise IPs, such as superhero films, is talked about more than women's bodies. Alcock isn't wrong that women get body scrutinized, though. Gal Gadot was dragged for being too skinny or small-chested, exactly like she describes. Hugh Jackman, for example, at 57 years old, is still expected to sustain Wolverine abs and that physique, or he would get roasted. And Robert Pattinson and Grant Gustin got the not big enough or not muscular enough treatment constantly. And it's the expectation that us fans have, wanting the actor to look exactly like the comic book character, which just isn't realistic at all. So framing it as a special burden on women in a franchise ignores the equal or greater pressure on male leads and risks alienating the audience before the movie even drops. Because if Hugh Jackman isn't completely shredded with washboard abs at 57 and every time he plays Wolverine, people would complain and cry. So instead, he's spending 6 to 7 months getting into completely absolute unrealistic shape for that age. No matter what you think, for him to get that much muscle mass and that lean in 6 months is naturally not possible. And we have no evidence that he is, but if you just look at his physique, it gets substantially better and better over the years, and as he ages out, peak muscle development for a male is in his 30s, and he's almost double that, looking bigger than he was in his prime. So there can be a very good argument made for clear usage of some kind of drug, but he has to hold up that appearance for that role because that is what the people expect. Robert Pattinson. People complained that he wasn't muscular enough. He didn't put on any muscle. He didn't even look like he was trying. And he's not out of shape by any means, which is a crazy thing to say. But because he's not shredded and carrying around 15 to 20 pounds of lean mass, people have a problem with it. They take ownership of a character and they say he's not big enough. He's not lean enough. Thor is another great example. Chris Hemsworth is in great shape, and in every single movie since he started playing Thor, he has progressively gotten bigger and bigger and added more and more muscle to his frame. And a prime example of that is Thor 4, where he just added an insane amount of muscle. There's no way he's doing that naturally in that small amount of time they're given. I think he even may have made comments saying that he won't get that size again because it was too tolling on his body. These are not things that these Hollywood actors are doing naturally. They have to use some kind of substance to help them. That's the only way. So to bring it full circle, to say she knows she's going to face backlash over people trying to own her body when I've seen nothing but supportive things about her casting and people actually pretty happy is just a wild thing to say. And to me, it seems like these comments aren't empowering. They're unnecessary because they turn potential audience feedback into a sexism debate before anyone has even seen the film. Real criticism of any actor and any gender has always existed in this space. So by framing it as inevitable misogyny, Alcock risks alienating the very fans the movie needs to succeed, just like similar pre-release rhetoric has done to other projects.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird. Weird.
The evidence shows backlash is equal opportunity in superhero IPs, not a gendered conspiracy against one party. She also made another comment which I just don't agree with. She said she didn't want to be in another big franchise IP, but then she didn't work for a year after Netflix's Sirens. And she said, quote, "I was shit scared that my life was over at 22, and of course it wasn't. I kind of bullied myself into auditioning for Supergirl." And that statement right there, once again, is just another unnecessary comment. What it feels like she's saying is she couldn't get any work, so she's going to take another risk at a big franchise. Millie was 22 years old, coming off a huge breakout in House of Dragon. She took a deliberate break to avoid typecasting, did Sirens, then had a year without work and panicked that her life was over. She also said she felt like she had to bully herself into auditioning for Supergirl. But here's the thing about that. If you're already terrified that your career is over at 22, unless you jump on a massive superhero franchise, that fear itself is the problem. It means you don't trust that your acting is strong enough to stand on its own, and that you don't believe you can deliver performances so good that directors will keep casting you in interesting roles, big or small. There's a Christian Bale interview with GQ where he talks about this same fear as he responds to it perfectly.
People were telling me, hey, you can't go play Patrick Bateman, it's career suicide. And I was like, bring it on. I definitely want to do that. Other people also said, hey, you know, if you play Batman, that's it. You're never going to play anything else again. You will always be Batman. And I went, bring it on. Let's see if that happens. Because I just always felt like, look, if I don't have the skill to be able to rise above that, then I don't deserve to either.
Bale treated it as a test of his talents. Millie is already framing Supergirl like a reluctant backup plan she had to force herself into out of a career panic, and the movie hasn't even come out yet. That's planting an excuse in advance. If the film underperforms or she gets typecast, she can always say, see, I wasn't even sure about it. I was scared. Real actors with range don't need to bully themselves into dream roles. They step up because they know they can handle whatever comes after. And people will come at me with the usual counters. She's young, with less experience. It's genuine vulnerability. Don't be toxic. Or her comments don't show a lack of range. But at the end of the day, those don't hold up. This isn't about shaming anxiety. It's about pointing out that publicly framing a dream superhero role as something you had to bully yourself into out of fear before the movie even releases plants an excuse and reveals doubt in your range. The clip speaks for itself. Christian Bale was 18 during Newsies and around 25 to 26 when he filmed American Psycho as Patrick Bateman. Basically the same age as Millie was during her House of Dragon breakout role, and the gap afterward. And people warned him the exact same thing about typecasting, and he said, bring it on. If I don't have the skill to rise above that, then I didn't deserve to. He treated it as a challenge to his talent, not a panic move. But the point is, these weren't even issues that people brought up until she made these comments. Nobody had a problem with her playing Supergirl. I still don't have a problem with her. It's those type of comments, though, that are just completely unnecessary and can make it a bust before it even releases.
It's Hollywood, baby. But
And the reactions from the trailer that I've seen have been mostly positive. The real problem here is James Gunn. It's not even directed by James Gunn, but his influence is clearly all over it. It looks like another Guardians of the Galaxy movie. If you look at her costume, it's even influenced by James Gunn. She's got the exact same headphones Star-Lord wears, and they're both wearing a trench coat too. The costume design is inspired. Like he has no ability to make anything else. And then the fact that he oversees the entire production and he didn't let the writers or the director have their own ideas doesn't help. It doesn't even look like they had any influence. This literally looks like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It's also the same premise over and over again, that she's lost and she's trying to discover herself and become the hero she knows she can be.
It's an inner journey that she goes on to find her true self, and she meets a lot of people along the way that make the journey really incredible.
It just feels like the same thing we've been seeing for years with Captain Marvel, Star Wars, Snow White, and those story changes. It's not that anybody has a problem with Supergirl. She's an iconic character that's been around for more than 60 years. The problem is, it's another space adventure movie with James Gunn's playlist, Guardians of the Galaxy styled costumes and humor, and Guardians of the Galaxy styled cinematography, and he's not even directing it. And Superman was almost the same thing as well. It was an ensemble movie, and Superman's not even a majority of the screen time. And the best character in this Supergirl movie will probably be Jason Momoa's Lobo. It really feels like James Gunn just doesn't understand these characters at all, and he only has one way of storytelling. And this film doesn't even feel like it's going to be a significant game changer for the DCU, or help set up any future films. It's not establishing a mainline character like Batman. It's establishing Supergirl, who's a great character, but is it the right choice to have as your second main installment as the head of DCU? And I don't know if I agree with it. But having your lead actress make these kinds of comments to alienate the fans before the movie even comes out just isn't the best move either. And then, if the movie doesn't do well, it's just an excuse to say the fans were against us the whole time and then blame us.
Really?
When really the film was just never going to do well in the first place. And it's had test screenings now at this point, and it's being met with underwhelming criticism. And the fact that some people are saying it's going to be a Supergirl summer is actually mind-boggling to me. Because I know an itsy-bitsy Spider-Man that's going to take over the summer for sure. And I'm wondering, what are your guys' thoughts? Is Supergirl going to be a really good movie? Is it going to take DC to the next level? Or are things like this going to ruin the film before it even comes out? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'm really interested to hear what you think. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.